Okay, so we're gonna do some restorative work just to ease out any tension in the lower back. So just have your bolster, so you have your blanket, and we'll start off in our usual restorative relaxation pose. So have the bolster underneath your knees, blocks underneath your feet, and then the folded blanket underneath your head. So just have yourself covered up if you need it. If you feel like you might be chilly, then you can put a cover over yourself. Otherwise, just bring yourself down onto the bolster. Now, where you put the bolster can help to release tension in the back. So normally it just goes underneath your knees, but try bringing the bolster underneath the backs of the thighs, and then just see if that softens out the lumbar spine a little. Or you might want to try it the other way around, bring it underneath the calf muscles and just see which of those feels like it softens your back. So this, where the bolster is underneath the backs of the knees, gives you the sensation that the spine is being elongated. And if you go underneath the thighs, it feels like the spine is being kind of gently truncated, just kind of shortened, but with the lumbar spine supported by the floor. So either underneath the knees, underneath the thighs, or underneath the calves, just find what works for you. So with restorative work, it's often about just identifying how it feels and finding the most effective position to help you to relax. So once you've found that right position for you, then allow the body to release into the floor. As normal, don't be in a rush to find your final place. Just allow yourself to just listen to the pose, listen to the body. Close your eyes and allow the body to relax into the floor. So rather than staying completely still, perhaps you might want to spend a little bit of time with the bolster in different places at the backs of the legs. Just spend a little time in each of those areas. The bolster at the back of the thighs, then in the back of the knees, then in the back of the calves. Just observe how just an extended stay in each of those helps to release tension in the back. So just adjust a few times just to see how it feels with the bolster higher and then lower. So give each iteration of the pose a little bit of time. So just allow the body to just enjoy each of those different versions of the pose. Just feel where your back feels most supported. So it's a different approach to beginning our practice, just accommodating specific discomfort. Just adjust the position of the bolster, maybe bring it underneath the backs of the calves. And again, just feel how that makes the pose feel different in your lower back. If you find that one position doesn't really work for you or make a lot of difference, then choose another. Just give yourself an opportunity to relax into each of the poses. Maybe if there's discomfort in your knees, the bolster in the back of the knee makes the knee feel a little uncomfortable. Maybe it doesn't. Just observe how the pose feels and adjust accordingly. change the position of the bolster again, just to feel how each time it changes the experience in your back. Maybe bring it underneath the knees this time. Just relax into the floor, just making the most of the equipment, letting go of the muscles of the arms and the legs, and allowing the body to rest down into the floor. Just one more time, just move the position of the bolster underneath your legs, maybe bring it underneath the thighs. Just have the blocks for your feet just supporting your feet. And just feel how the lumbar spine can soften into the floor. Just allow your mind to just sink into the body. Just allow the body to relax. Relaxation is a really effective cure for many ailments. Okay, just bend your knees, wiggle your fingers, and bring your feet onto the bolster. So roll the bolster away a little, just so that you can rest your feet on the bolster, have the knees together, and again, just resting your back into the floor. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then if you can, reach through the legs, get hold of the little toe side of your feet. And again, just have a little rock from side to side. You can always bring your feet apart, just have a rock from side to side. So it's just the happy baby pose. Just allowing the lower back to have a little gentle massage. And then gently roll over onto your side and stretch out the top leg and come up into a seated position. Just come into cross legs for a moment. Just holding onto your knees, observing your energy. So we're going to do some side lying stretches, which are good for kind of loosening out tension in your back. So we're going to use, if you've got an oblong bolster, use that for this one. So this is kind of a good shoulder opener as well, but it's it can help to kind of loosen out tension in the back. So you've got the bolster. You're going to have the bolster in the armpit chest. If you haven't got a bolster, or if you haven't got an oblong bolster, then get your blanket, fold it up so it's quite chunky, and then it's going to go underneath. So as you lay over, you're going to lay in with that in the armpit chest region. So bend your knees, lengthen out the side ribs, and then bring your shoulder down onto the floor. Rest your head on the block, and then you can just stay here with the hand just resting on the hip or on the bolster. If you want, just stay in, just giving your back that little rounding action on the inside. or you can stretch that arm over and bring that arm over your head. And this becomes a good stretch for your shoulders as well as your back. So just a little side lying stretch. So as ever, if the pose feels uncomfortable, then just adjust until it doesn't feel uncomfortable. Try and breathe into both lungs evenly. So as you know, as we progress into the sequence, I'll speak less and less, so that you don't have to listen. You can just use the time to relax. Just allow yourself to release into the pose, release into the floor. Remember, if there's any discomfort, then adjust until there's no longer any discomfort. Okay, bring that top arm back to rest on your hip. Push your elbow into the floor and then come up into a seated position. Just observe how your back feels, how your spine and your side trunk feels. And just come over to the other side. So sit on the other hip and then lengthen along that bolster. Have the bolster just underneath the armpit chest. Have the shoulder on the floor. Have the bolster, have the block for underneath your head. And then just allow that top arm either just to sit on the top of the thigh or stretch over the ear. Just allow the body to relax. Just feel the opening around the lower back and around the chest. Just bring that top arm back to rest on the upper hip. When you're ready, push your elbow into the floor and then come up into cross legs, just holding onto your knees, just observing your energy. Okay, so we're going to do another side lying stretch, but this time you're going to bring the bolster into the kind of the bottom of the top of the hip is on the kind of bottom of the bolster, and then the kind of upper bit of the bolster is kind of just above just around the lower ribs. So you just stretch yourself out along that bolster and then stretch your arms out, stretch your legs out, and the bolster is in the kind of abdominal region effectively. So you just stretch out initially, just stretch the heels, stretch the fingers, and then just let the body release. Just let the body sink into the ground. Just let your legs soften, let the arms soften. It might feel like it's kind of opening up the lumbar spine. That's the idea. So you might want to put your front foot in front of the other, your upper foot in front of the other, or just let them rest side by side. So just to stretch out initially, and then just drape in over the bolster. Okay, just release your top arm. Just roll onto your front. Just make sure that you're fully on your front, and then be on your elbows, bend your knees, and then just walk your knees towards the bolster, and then just sit yourself back on your heels for a moment. Just observe that space around the lumbar, the energy that you've released. And then just the same pose but on the other side. So again, just the hip and the lower ribs just in contact with the bolster. And then stretch the legs out, stretch the arms out initially, just have a good old stretch. And then allow the body to release into the bolster, into the floor. So as ever, if the pose gives you any discomfort or it doesn't feel comfortable, adjust in position until it does feel comfortable. Sometimes there are some poses that just don't work for us. And if this is one of those for you, then you can just lay on your back with the bolster underneath your back and stretching your legs out, just in the heart pose. Or find another pose that you do like and feels like it's helping to open up your back. Okay, and then again, just gently roll onto your front. Just come all the way onto your front. Have your elbows kind of evenly positioned on the floor. And then walk your knees in and then push yourself up and sit back down onto your heels. Just again, observing your energy, observing the space in your back. Okay, and to finish, we're just going to stretch our legs out along the bolster. Have a folded blanket for your head. Just make sure that it's kind of evenly folded, and then just guide yourself down along the bolster. Let the legs fall apart, let the knees fall apart. Have the bolster underneath your back and your blanket underneath your head, just to give you some support. And then allow the body to release into the floor. So allow the body to release into the floor. Let the muscles of the arms and the legs completely release, so that you become heavy on the ground. And out of that heaviness, observe a feeling of lightness that radiates from the bones and into the muscles and the organs, into the flesh and the skin. So this pose enlivens the energy in the chest and in the shoulders and in the abdomen. Okay, push your elbows into the floor, push yourself up into a seated position, just cross legs briefly, just observing the energy that you have released through your practice. And then just have a bolster underneath your knees, have the folded blanket for underneath your head, and then for the last couple of minutes we'll just bring ourselves back down into our basic relaxation pose. So again, just put the bolster underneath the knees or underneath the backs of the thighs, underneath the calves, wherever it feels like it relieves tension in your back. Just use your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness down into the toes and into the fingers and into the top of the head. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bring your feet onto the bolster, and then have the feet apart and the knees together, just resting your back into the floor. And then gently roll over onto your right side. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into cross legs. Cross legs with the hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Drawing the breath in through the nose down into the abdomen. Conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice. And then gently draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then when you're ready, just gently release the backs of, excuse me, the backs of your hands down towards your knees. Palms facing upwards, just connecting the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb. And then when you're ready, just raise your head and allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Excuse me, I'd start coughing then. Thank you very much. So, excuse me, hopefully you feel like you've really lifted your energy and just loosened up your lower back a little. So thank you very much for joining me.